Hearth's Warming Wishes by Jasmine Heart. Available now on fanfiction.net. Fluttershy's eyes blinked open groggily, her warm sleep interrupted by her loud alarm clock. She smacked the snooze button and snuggled deeper under her covers. Sometimes she wished she didn't have so many animals. That way she could sleep longer on such cold days. Just as she was falling back into sleep, her alarm went off again. With a growl of annoyance, which to any one of us would sound like a light groan, Fluttershy hit the off button and sat up. The frigid air met her shoulders immediately, and she shivered as she rubbed them with her hooves. Time to get to work, Fluttershy sighed, and got up from under her comforting blankets. Her first stop was the closet, at which she pulled out thick, woolly socks, some winter boots, a scarf, earmuffs, and a warm coat. As she wrapped herself in layers of clothing, the feeling of frigid air slowly vanished, leaving her cozy inside her outfit. With a deep, satisfying breath, Fluttershy trotted downstairs and headed to the kitchen. She immediately started a pot of water for hot tea, then a second pot for porridge. With her breakfast cooking, she started her cooking timer, setting the dial to 15, and heading off to feed her animals. As she walked, Fluttershy wondered how her friends were on this fine day. The sun was shining, albeit not warmly, and provided a gentle glow to the snow. Some winter flowers, like snowdrops, had sprouted all around her cottage, and she stopped to sniff delicately at a few of them. Twilight was probably in her new castle, no doubt swarmed with her new duties, and Rarity was most likely hard at work with a new winter fashion. Applejack was working on her famous apple cider. Pinkie Pie was probably being, well, Pinkie Pie. Fluttershy giggled at that thought, while she tossed chicken feed to her hens, who gobbled it up greedily. Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy didn't have to guess, had seen her fly over before she got her first bag of feed. She appeared to be performing stunt tricks, most likely practice for the Wonderbolts, Fluttershy mumbled. And what about you, dearie? A sudden, rather familiar voice sounded behind her. Fluttershy squeaked and spun around, her fear turning quickly into a cute pout. Discord, don't scare me like that. I nearly dropped my bird seeds, she scolded, and tightened her arms about the bag of feed she carried. Sorry, I was only asking a question. Discord made a pouty face himself, receiving a giggle from Fluttershy. His ears perked at that. Her giggles were quite adorable, and just hearing one put a soft grin on his face. Well, what did you mean by your question? Fluttershy asked, reminding him why he was here. Ah, yes, of course. I was just wondering what your plans are today. You seem to know just what every pony else is doing. What about you? Discord asked, taking her feedback from her and filling the bowls on her tree that were too high to reach without flight. Oh, thank you. I haven't really decided. I was just thinking of lounging after my jobs are done. What did you want to do? Fluttershy inquired from under her mane, suddenly growing shy of him. Discord didn't seem to notice and put a finger to his chin and thought. I wanted to go ice skating, make peppermint snow ponies, and let's see. He looked about for inspiration. Maybe even sledding. Have you ever gone sledding, Fluttershy? Fluttershy shook her head. No, I don't usually do winter games. Too scary. She blushed and hid further under her mane. Well, me neither. This is my first Hearth's Warming ever, Discord said, spreading his arm as little fireworks exploded from them for emphasis. Fluttershy smiled up at him. Really? Yes, indeed, and I want to spend my first holiday with you. If you don't mind, that is. Discord fumbled with his fingers on the ladder of his sentence, looking anxiously at Fluttershy. Fluttershy's smile widened. Of course, Discord. I'd love to spend the day with you. Just let me finish feeding my animals. Discord blinked into her path, causing Fluttershy to crash right into his chest. Oops, sorry Fluttershy, but I'll take care of your animals today. Fluttershy took his paw to stand up again. Oh, that's very kind of you, but... Snap. Done and done. Now what shall we do first? Discord rubbed his hands together in anticipation. Oh, you didn't need to. I could have fed them. Fluttershy felt bad for making him do it, even though he did it voluntarily. Nonsense. You need a break every now and then, Discord said. Now, let's see. He began thinking about activities to do. Breakfast! Fluttershy exclaimed, hearing the faint whistle of her teapot. She had forgotten about it. Wonderful idea! Breakfast! Why didn't I think of... Where did she go? Discord spun around in a circle before he saw her run into her cottage. Oh. No, 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 Fluttershy mumbled as she turned the stove off. She had let the water burn out. She put the pot in the sink and face-hooved, turning on the cold water. Fluttershy then tended to the tea, which had been close to burning out as well. She poured the remaining hot water into a teacup inside. Problem, dearie? Discord was holding the teacup she had been filling when she turned around. No, well, yes, I suppose. I've got no breakfast now. Fluttershy went to her pantry looking in vain for instant cereal. Would you like me to make you breakfast? Discord asked, causing Fluttershy to peer over her shoulder in interest. Is he blushing? Fluttershy wondered, noticing the slightest tiny of strawberry red on the Draconequiz's cheeks. What did you have in mind? Discord grinned. Something like this, he replied, snapping his fingers. Even though she was used to it, Fluttershy still yelped quietly as she was transported. Her eyes shut instinctively as the spell worked its magic. Even though a teleportation spell only took a second, it felt more like a dozen. Ta-da! What do you think? Discord's voice prompted Fluttershy to peek out of one eye. Oh my. Fluttershy jumped away from the edge of the cloud they were standing on. They were not too high up, but she was still scared nonetheless. Fluttershy looked around the cloud they stood on. There was a picnic basket strewn across the middle, soft rolls and bumps from the cloud's surface on it. A small basket sat upon the blanket, a warm, savory smell wafting through the air. Come, come, aren't you hungry? Discord had sat down on the blanket and pat the leftover space with his paw. Fluttershy walked towards him and sat down, watching as he pulled out a plate of what looked to be fresh pancakes. Hey, those are my favorite. How did you know? She asked, a smile finding its way onto her face. Discord nearly dropped the plate. His cheeks were now most certainly flushed. He stammered. Oh, you eavesdropped, didn't you? Fluttershy smirked. She knew his habits quite well. He had obviously been spying on her and her friends, for she had never told him her favorite food was pancakes. I guess you wanted to figure it out, Fluttershy realized in her head, blinking a few times to clear her mind after such a thought. Well, yes, Discord sighed, and let his head droop. He knew she disapproved of eavesdropping. Naughty, Fluttershy teased, failing to suppress a giggle after he looked up at her with surprise in his gaze. You aren't mad? Discord asked, cautiously optimistic that he wouldn't be getting a Flutter lecture. She was quite intimidating when she went all bossy on him. Then again, she was also very cute when she got mad, even a little foxy in his opinion. No, Fluttershy was looking at her hoof as she adjusted her boot, after which she took a delicate sip of tea. Discord raised an eyebrow, peering at her carefully. She responded by looking up at her with a smirk. Are you sure? You hate it when I spy on you. Fluttershy's smile widened. Of course not. I think I should tell you more things about me and my friends so you don't feel the need to eavesdrop anymore. She spoke innocently, but there was something definitely off to Discord. Things like this, Fluttershy called before throwing a snowball at him. Discord squealed and covered his face with his arms. Nothing happened. Peering out, he saw an embarrassed Fluttershy with her head in her hooves. The snowball barely made it past the plate of pancakes. Now it rested at a whole foot away from his body. Discord could not contain himself, and burst into a raucous laughter. Oh, by Celestia's mane, you sure can throw, he gofled, rolling onto the cloud in his laughter. Ha ha, Fluttershy mumbled, removing her hooves from her face. Discord rolled about until his laughter turned into giggles, and his giggles turned into an occasional chuckle. Are you finished? Fluttershy asked, daintily taking a bite out of another pancake as she waited. Discord looked up at her with a grin. I think so. Now I know never to fear a snowball from you. Or any ball for that matter, he chuckled, sitting up to stuff more than 5 pancakes into his mouth, which were swallowed without chewing, a feat only capable of being done by Discord, or Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie was somehow better at such things than he. Discord had no idea how she could be, but she was, and he had learned to deal with it. I suppose not, but hearing your girly scream was worth it, Fluttershy giggled. Discord gasped. I do not scream like a girl. Yes, you do. Do not. Do. Don't. Both stopped when they realized they had leaned closer until their noses touched. Fluttershy blushed and pulled back shyly. Discord also backed away. His thoughts a jumble of confusion after an unknown sensation struck his body. Resonating from where they had touched, Discord simply looked down his snout to his nose, eyes narrowing. So, should we go make peppermint snowman, or should we go sledding first? Fluttershy's voice pulled Discord out of his thoughts. Discord mulled it over. I suppose the more exciting activities should be done first. But aren't you afraid of sledding? I thought you said winter activities were too scary for you. Fluttershy blushed again and nodded. Yes, but I think I should go with you. No pony should spend their first Hearth's warming alone. She spoke with the utmost sincerity, and Discord blinked in surprise. She was truly the embodiment of kindness, even giving up on her own comfort to make him happy. But he didn't want her to be uncomfortable, he realized. What if you cheer me while I sled? That way, you don't have to be scared. I wouldn't be alone that way, Discord suggested. Fluttershy looked up at him and smiled warmly. I'd like that very much. Discord understood why ponies enjoyed this so much now. It was quite exhilarating to be speeding down the hill, wind in your face and mane, albeit his was a short one. Though he did wish Fluttershy could join him. Sharing the experience would make it all the more memorable. Fluttershy trotted to meet Discord as he walked back up the hill. She briefly wondered why he hadn't just teleported, but once again dismissed the thought. That looked like so much fun, she said excitedly. Discord seemed to snap out of his thoughts and acknowledged her with a smile. Indeed, I'll have to do this more often during the winter. He stopped walking and turned about to study the way he came. Fluttershy gulped, looking at the sled determinedly. Discord? Can I come with you on the next go? Discord looked at her in surprise. But what about... I know I'm scared, but sometimes it's better to face a fear than to avoid it, Fluttershy said, gently stomping a hoof to punctuate her sentence. Looking up at Discord, her eyes widened. If you don't mind, that is. She'd hid beneath her mane at that. Discord smiled and snapped her fingers. Fluttershy saw it coming this time and simply closed her eyes and waited. They reappeared at the top of the mountain. Well then, it's time to face some fears, shall we? Discord motioned to the sled. Fluttershy gulped and moved to sit on the sturdy wooden contraction. After settling down, she took a deep breath and smiled up at Discord. Okay, I'm ready, she said, as she turned to face the steep mountain. Discord climbed on behind her, gingerly putting his arms on her shoulders, hoping she wouldn't look up to see his blush. He didn't know why the close contact made him so nervous, but he refused to let it ruin his day. Alright then, let's go. I'm going to push in 1... On second thought, Fluttershy began, but was cut off by Discord. 2, 3, Discord shouted the moment he heard her hesitation. Fluttershy screamed as they sped down the mountain. Her hooves had covered her face momentarily, but feeling the wind flying past her led Fluttershy to pull them down. Once she was able to see what was happening, she grinned, and her scream was replaced by joyous laughter. Discord was startled that she began to laugh. It was an adorable sound, and the fact she was laughing loud enough to be heard over the wind made him smile. I take it you like it then? She called. Fluttershy leaned back against his chest and nodded, not realizing just how red her companion's face had gotten at the contact. It's so much fun. She reached up and grabbed a hold of his nearest arm, snuggling it tight as they sped down the last remaining yards of the mountain. Discord could just barely hide how much he was trembling at her touch. He cleared his throat as he got off the sled and held out his paw to help her off. "Everything is always better with a friend," he smiled. Fluttershy blushed and nodded, giving him a gentle hug and squeeze, which of course felt like nothing. Her hugs were always too gentle. Discord liked that, though, and he wrapped his arms around her in response. "Thanks for agreeing to spend the day with me, Fluttershy. I'm really enjoying your company." Fluttershy smiled up at him. "Now how about those peppermint snow ponies?" Discord grinned. "Righto. I can see you're anxious to try it." "Me too." He held out her hoof and snapped his fingers on his other hand. Fluttershy struggled to push a giant snowball towards the place Discord stood. He was currently putting great care into fashioning the base of the snow pony. As soon as they had arrived in the wide valley of snow, he had snapped his fingers and all of it became infused with peppermint. Fluttershy had to stop herself from eating it once she tasted it. It was most delicious. "How's this one?" Fluttershy grunted as a snowball came to a stop next to Discord's tail. Discord turned about and began to chuckle. "Well, I guess the base is now his body. This one is huge. How did you manage it?" Fluttershy giggled. "Pinky taught me a few tricks over the years. I've been making snow ponies since I came to Ponyville." She patted the snowball gently with a proud smile on her muzzle. Discord snapped his fingers and the snowball was in position with the smaller snowball he had been working on. He gently placed the smaller one upon Fluttershy's and stepped back with a nod. "Now all we need is the head. Let's make it together, since we made the other two by ourselves." Fluttershy bounced excitedly on her hooves a couple of times. Her hair flying up and down distracted Discord for a moment, before he nodded and smiled. "Alright then, let's start here," he said, as he began to collect the flavored snow around his feet. Fluttershy helped and began pushing snow towards him. Then both went to work packing the snow tightly into a ball. Fluttershy gently pressed her hooves into it, and Discord smiled as she carefully formed a muzzle onto the ball, scrutinizing her work carefully before she sat up and looked at him expectantly. "What?" Discord wondered if he had missed something. "Don't you want to make the ears? We can add some antlers too, and..." Fluttershy suddenly gasped. "We can make a snow Draconiquis! The first one ever!" she exclaimed, holding her hooves out in excitement before blushing and hiding under her mane. "If you want to, that is." Discord grinned. "Well, of course I do. How about I make some antlers out of candy canes, and you can make the ears," he suggested. Fluttershy smiled slightly and began working snow into the correct shape, glancing up at her companion every here and there to make sure she had the right shape. Discord summoned 2 candy canes, each an exact replica of his antlers, and while he was at it, he made arms, legs, wings, and a tail out of snow as well, adding them to the finished base of the snow pony. "Snow Draconiquis, you mean," he corrected himself with a chuckle. What an odd name, but he was sure he preferred Snow Pony over it as it was easier to say. But Snow Draconiquis was so much more chaotic, and the fact that his best friend made it up was even better. "I'm finished," Fluttershy said, tugging at his arm. Discord turned around to look, and his smile immediately widened on his face. It looked quite close to exactly like him. "It looks wonderful, Fluttershy. Here, why don't you put on the body? I'm sure our friend wants his head now." Discord picked her up so she wouldn't have to use her wings. Fluttershy nodded and placed the head onto her body, trying to ignore the fact that she also liked his hands on her waist. "Done," she said. But much to her relief, he didn't put her down. "Better put on the antlers too." Discord handed her the candy canes and she grinned as she took them, sticking them firmly into the Snow Draconiquis' head. "And what should we use for the eyes?" Discord pondered, tucking Fluttershy into the crook of his arm. Fluttershy blushed as his fur brushed against her cheeks, hardly registering his question as she focused on the body contact. "What do you think of raspberries? My eyes are red. Might as well have red eyes, shouldn't he?" Discord asked, peering at the flustered Pegasus in his arm. "Oh, raspberries sound lovely," Fluttershy stammered. letting her mane cover her increasing blush. Raspberries it is then. Discord snapped his fingers and 2 plump raspberries appeared in his hand. Let's finish this together, shall we? He handed her one of the berries and held her out to put it on the Snow-Draconicus. Fluttershy gently placed the berry in a hollow, carefully dug by her hooves into the head. Discord did the other. He placed her down and looked at their work with a satisfied nod. Wonderful job, Fluttershy. For the world's first Snow-Draconicus, he looks quite handsome, if I dare say so myself, Discord said, smiling down at Fluttershy. Fluttershy blinked at him. At that moment, it wasn't the Snow-Draconicus that she thought was handsome, but she nodded and smiled back. What now? She asked. Well, ice skating, of course. I don't know if you remember, but the last time I went ice skating, it wasn't all that fun, Discord said jokingly. Fluttershy froze. She remembered that day quite well. The day she gave him a chance, and showed him just what true friendship meant to him. Fluttershy? Discord noted her stillness. Is something wrong? Fluttershy blinked and looked up at him, studying his face for a moment. No, I was just thinking. About what, dearie? Discord was soon wrapped around her playfully, pressing his forehead against hers, eyes wide and silly. Fluttershy giggled both because of his funny expression and because she liked it when he did that. Just that I haven't skated in a while, she lied. Although that was true, she couldn't let him know what she was truly thinking at the moment. The truth was he fascinated her from the beginning, and that she developed a crush on him not long after the events at the orchard. Discord was oblivious to her lie and shrugged. Well then, let's get started, shall we? Snap. Fluttershy giggled as she steadied herself on the ice. Discord was holding her hooves gently, helping her to her feet after she had tied her skates. Fluttershy was about to pull her hooves away and skate independently when a familiar voice gasped in excitement. Oh my gosh, I had no idea you two were skating today, so let me go get my skates, Pinkie Pie yelled, and zoomed away before either of them could respond or comprehend what she had said. Discord had looked at the hill Pinkie disappeared over and blinked. What did she say? Fluttershy giggled. That she's going to get her skates, she clarified. Discord's eyes widened. Then he seemed to lower his head just slightly in disappointment. Oh, I thought it was just going to be you and me today. Fluttershy felt disappointed herself at his words. She too was enjoying her one-on-one time with him. Well, do you want to do something else? If she comes back, we're going to be stuck with her all day, she asked. Fluttershy loved Pinkie and all, but her eccentrics were too much for her sometimes. Discord sighed. I don't want to be rude, but let's go eat lunch, he replied, scooping a surprised Fluttershy into his arms and flashing away. Pinkie bounced back to the pond, ice skates in her mouth. When she saw it was empty, she dropped them. Where'd they go? She looked around carefully, spotting Twilight coming down the nearby path. Twilight, she screeched. Twilight jumped and turned to face Pinkie. Oh, hi, Pinkie. She trotted over to the ecstatic pink pony. Twilight! 5 minutes ago I ran into Discord and Fluttershy and they were ice skating. I was going to get my skates, but when I came back they were gone and then I saw you. Pinkie Pie paused to take an abnormally deep breath. So, are you going to go skating with me? She bounced in place and waited for Twilight to catch up. What? Skate? Pinkie, you know I can't skate. Twilight twitched her wings nervously, as if contemplating flying away. Sure you can, another familiar voice called. Both ponies turned to see Applejack trotting up to them. Howdy, y'all. Couldn't help but overhear ya. Hi, Applejack. I'm taking Twilight skating, but she says she can't skate. Pinkie continued to bounce in place. I just never learned, and honestly I'm quite a klutz, Twilight chuckled. Well then, it's time to teach ya. Come on, let's see what you got. Twilight grabbed Pinkie's skates and began to push Twilight towards the lake. No! What? Stop! Ah! Twilight yelped as she was pushed down the hill. Whee! Then we'll have a Twilight Learn to Ice Skate party, Pinkie giggled, as she bounced along after them. Discord had set them back among the clouds, afraid that somehow Pinkie might track them if they went to a cafe. This time they had sandwiches, rather than pancakes, and orange juice for Fluttershy. He drank chocolate milk himself. This is lovely. I like it when the skies are clear during the winter. Fluttershy gazed over the snowy meadows in awe. The sun had given all of the snow a tint of sunset colors. Indeed. The trees. Yeah, the trees are lovely. Discord corrected himself and cleared his throat afterwards, a blush forming on his cheeks. What trees? Fluttershy was peering over the clouds searching for trees. The area they had chosen had none. Discord gulped. I meant to say the snow. Snow doesn't sound anything like tree, Fluttershy giggled. I don't know how you can mix them up. Well, my brain is just chaotic as my magic. I forget sometimes, Discord fibbed, albeit noticeably. Fluttershy deadpanned at him. She shrugged her shoulders and continued eating. I see. So what are we doing after lunch, she asked, taking another bite of her daisy sandwich. Discord mulled some options over in his head. Shopping? No, too girly. Snowball fights? Fluttershy isn't violent, you do. Baking? Oh, sweet Celestia, I'm terrible. Seeing his trouble, Fluttershy chuckled quietly. Perhaps we should just go home and make cocoa, she suggested. It is late lunch after all. Dinner is soon. Discord thought about it before nodding. Alright then, home we go. He prepared to snap his fingers. After we watched the sunset for a little bit, Fluttershy interrupted, blushing afterwards. If you don't mind. Discord chuckled. Of course I don't mind. He happily curled around her and relaxed on the cloud. Fluttershy's heart began to pound. As he did, she leaned up against him giddily, glad to snuggle up to him so intimately. Discord blushed when she nuzzled his fur. Unsure of what else to do, he placed a claw around her waist in response. He felt her twitch beneath him, but she didn't object to his touch, a fact that made him smile. Fluttershy's face couldn't get much redder, and she closed her eyes for bliss over the feeling in her heart. Fluttershy's eyes blinked open. She had fallen asleep on the cloud, and from the looks of it, so had Discord. He was sleeping peacefully beside her, the same when they had fallen asleep. Fluttershy nuzzled his fur with a sad sigh. She couldn't deny any longer her feelings, but she wasn't sure what Discord would think. At the same time, Discord awoke to the feeling of her nuzzling, with a yawn. He lifted his head and turned to look at her. Fluttershy let out a small eep and hid beneath her mane, surprised that he had awoken. It seems we fell asleep. I suppose that means no hot cocoa, Discord grinned. Maybe after dinner? Fluttershy blushed, as her stomach growled in sync to her words. Discord nodded. Of course. With that, he snapped his finger, and they were back at her cottage. A light dinner was on the table, and her fireplace was lit to warm the frigid air. Discord had teleported her right into her chair, and she daintily put the napkin on her lap. The dinner was composed of salad, candied yams, and a mixture of vegetables and rice pilaf. Fluttershy felt her mouth salivate at the sight of the delicious food. Go ahead and eat, dearie. Discord began to dig into his food as he spoke, encouraging her to do the same. Most of the meal was eaten in silence, a few various questions asked occasionally, but overall, they hardly talked. They did, however, burst into laughter when Fluttershy belched, a quiet, yet still funny sound. Discord couldn't stand silence, but he also couldn't think of much to say. He adored this mare, no doubt about it, but did she feel the same way? Perhaps those gentle nuzzles and blushes were a sign? No, that's just Fluttershy being Fluttershy. Discord scolded himself, placing his fist beneath his chin while he waited for Fluttershy to finish. Fluttershy wiped the corners of her mouth with her napkin and leaned back into her chair, sighing in contentment. That was lovely, Discord. Thank you. Discord shrugged. It was nothing. Easy as pie. Speaking of which, have we had dessert? A menu appeared out of nowhere, and he began peering intently at it. Maybe later. I'm too full to eat anything else. Fluttershy began to stand and collect the dishes. Discord waved a finger and snapped it afterward, the dishes disappearing. Oh, thank you. You didn't need to, Fluttershy smiled, walking over a decorated hearth, and sighing as she lay across a floor pillow. Discord followed suit and sat on the opposite side of the fireplace. Twiddling his fingers, he nervously thought of what to say, when an idea hit him. Say, Fluttershy, what do you want to do for Hearth's warming, eh? Fluttershy was slightly taken aback. She hadn't expected him to want to give her a gift. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, she said, and immediately blushed as something crossed over her mind. Discord noticed with interest. Tell you what, when you think of something you want, it will appear. He snapped his fingers. Fluttershy's eyes widened. No, Discord, wait! She called out too late, and the spell was cast. A flash above their eyes drew her attention, and her entire face flushed with a deep scarlet. Let's see what... Oh. Discord looked up, and his eyes shot forward in surprise, a deep blush covering his face, too. Above them hung a sprig of mistletoe. He let his jaw drop in shock. Fluttershy covered her face with her hooves in embarrassment. Discord could hardly respond to what had happened. She wants a kiss? Even stranger, from me? He asked himself, looking down at the tomato-red Pegasus. With a grin, he reached over and pulled her hooves back from her face. Fluttershy blinked and looked up at him. Discord, Fluttershy was interrupted as he kissed her full on the lips. Her eyes widened in realization, then swiftly relaxed into the feeling. Discord's heart was beating faster than he had thought possible. He was kissing his crush, and she wanted him to, and hearing her sigh made his heart soar. He pulled her into his arms and deepened the kiss, playing with her hair tenderly before breaking away. Fluttershy was disappointed when he did, but she smiled at him with a half-lidded gaze as they rested foreheads against each other. I take it that was satisfactory? Discord smirked. Very. Fluttershy grinned wider. But that doesn't mean I don't want another one, she winked before going in for a second kiss. See? Look, I told you. My Pinky sense said some pony was getting their first kiss tonight. Pinky bounced next to the window with Applejack and Twilight, who were both jaw-dropping from the sight inside. Fluttershy and Discord didn't notice, but the two mares fainted outside the cottage that night, and Pinky was forced not to burst in and throw a party right then and there because she had to walk them home. Discord and Fluttershy snuggled closely on the couch, his tail curled loosely around her hind leg. The fire was still going and kept them warm. Discord kissed his mare's forehead happily. I love you, Fluttershy, he whispered before laying his head against her shoulder. Fluttershy grinned. I love you too, Discord. The end.